Joining me in the studio, Shirli Sitbon from our science desk. Now, in regards for these talks on plastic pollution and the type of measures that negotiators are trying to reach, several countries, including European ones, are pleading for what they see as, or rather are ambitious measures to bring down significant levels of pollution. Others want to block new regulations. So just take us through some of the points that are up for discussion, Shirley.
Well, if we want to simplify it, it's basically applying the 3R rules, which is reducing the production of plastics, obviously recycling plastics, and also reusing them and repairing them. And if we do this globally, so with binding rules, well, it can bring down plastic pollution by 80%, some experts say. That would be huge. And so the ambitious countries want huge number of populations to apply those rules. And they think that binding regulations, binding rules would be a wonderful solution for that and are necessary to bring down this huge pollution. If this is not applied, then plastic pollution will just keep on growing. And to convince their fellow countries who are not as enthusiastic, well, they want to bring in maybe a whole palette, a whole series of ideas of various rules that can be put in place, and the other countries will choose in that group of options.
But the problem here, isn't it, Shirley, that only a small amount of pollution is actually recycled, isn't it?
Yes, only 10% today, and also, this also happens in a toxic way, because when you look at recycling today, and we have some images from Kenya, well, the people who collect this plastic and they bring it in for a bit of money, well, it's very bad for their health. It's really toxic. So the idea is not only to increase the amounts of plastics that are being recycled, but also find non-toxic ways of doing that. That is extremely important. Many people have also been saying that, the countries like the US and China, for example, the US, a major user of plastics, China, a major producer, the biggest producer, well, they say they want to choose their own rules. They think that recycling can be more effective, and they believe that that's the way to go. So the countries who are ambitious, well, they say, well, maybe we should target some things that are easy to abandon, like, for example, single-use plastics. This is half of the plastic pollution in the world, and it's pretty easy to get rid of because, well, you don't necessarily need single-use cutlery, straws, etc. And many countries have also started applying this. So they believe this is maybe the way to go. Single-use and also dangerous, unsafe plastics, that's the first target. And this image is actually an operation from a French person who went into the Himalaya, and he brought down various plastics he found there, various pollution. He says that for years and years and decades, people going up there have been just dropping their tents, their bags, their cups, and it's an operation to alert on the situation across the world, because even in the Himalayas, well, the situation, it seems like it's clean, but no, even there the situation is pretty dramatic pollution-wise.
And this weekend we got yet another sad reminder of just how serious the situation has become, because one of the lasting images of the pandemic was just how clean the waters of the canal Venice, in Venice became. But this weekend they turned green.
Yes, and it's a mystery of why they turned green. Some people are saying that maybe this is actually an action from climate activists to alert again about pollution, saying that maybe the chemicals put in the water are not necessarily toxic. And this pushes us back more than 50 years, because in 1968, an artist called Nicolas Garcia Uriburu, he did the same thing. This is images from this weekend, but we can see images from 50 years ago where he put a non-toxic chemical in the Grand Canal of Venice to alert people about pollution. It disappeared within a few hours, but this was the first time it was done in 1968, and he did this in several areas, including Paris. And it was a new type of activism, but we don't really know what kind of actual consequences it had, since many years later we still have pollution, and it's even worse and worse. These are images of him before he died, continuing those acts. At the time, it was hailed as a great artist, but today, of course, there's more criticism about this type of action.
55 years on, and how much has changed or not. Thank you so much for that, Shirli Sitbon.